Right, so we've done the platform. I think we've covered an awful lot of ground on it. What do you guys think are the real benefits to the users that are going to be on the platform?
I think the first thing that strikes me about it is it's all based on real live experiences of the enterprises that we've engaged with. You know, it's not our content that we've put on there, it's content that we've gathered from other people about real challenges.
I agree, and I think that because they're challenges that they've actually gone on to overcome in many cases, it's real good learning for other social entrepreneurs, social enterprises to benefit
and
from.
it's people who are going to be a little bit further down the line than the students, so they've already gone through these challenges and, you know, come out the other side and shared their experience.
The different stages of the journey as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Which means you get insight along the way. So it's not just it's more of a process than it is a snapshot.
Yeah. A large focus of the platform has been around social enterprises, but I would think that there's lots of learning for other businesses. Would you agree with that? It's not just for social enterprises.
Yeah, I think a lot of the challenges that have come out transcend all different businesses, sectors. There are some things that are very specifically social enterprise and things that have come out specifically as have been in a rural environment.
Yes.
But there are also plenty of lessons, I think, that are relevant for all different types of enterprises and businesses.
I think it's important to emphasise it's a rural social enterprise platform.
Yeah.
And with that focus, we're trying to support people in those types of environments with the issues they may face. And although the platform does show generic issues across different social enterprise startups, it's key that we build on the platform with future rural social enterprise issues.
Yeah, you're right. And the responses to the challenges that have come from the businesses that we've interviewed are based on being in a rural environment. So that's how they've tackled them. I think the platform certainly is one piece of the jigsaw in terms of support. It's not necessarily, it's not got all the answers in itself, but it'll give you an insight into how other people have tackled these challenges and as you say, signposted and such like to other supporters.
So I think when you're working with a partner, there's different things that you consider, isn't there, before you start to work with somebody on a project or a small piece of work or a campaign. What do you guys think that might be?
I think what this research has shown is that some of the issues are around entrepreneurial startup and activity. And some of them are around measuring and engaging with the social impact that you're trying to create. And so it's important to look for partners in both those spectrums so that you've got someone as a social barometer to help you measure and engage your social aspects of your social enterprise.
And it's that having a partnership or a partner arrangement and you want the common goal, isn't it? You're both going for, or all partners, could be more than one, are going for the same aim, isn't it?
I think expectation setting from the start about what people want to get out of it is really very important, and also expectations in terms of how much each partner is prepared to input into it as well. There may be a partner who's leading something or driving something and other people are having more minor roles, but I think it's important to say up front, well, this is how much time we can commit, or this is the type of resource that we can commit, and be very clear about that so that people's expectations aren't mismatched and causing tensions.
When we're looking at market research, because that's something else that we've all been talking about, and the importance of doing in-depth market research for a business, whether it's at a pre-start stage or it's a business that's looking to develop into new markets or expand in the markets that it's in.
I think first of all they need to understand the customer. Who is it that actually serving, if they have a customer or a consumer, and also understanding who's the target audience for the social value they're trying to create. So who is it that they're actually in their articles, who they're set up to support.
Definitely, I agree with that. It's about balancing both sides really, and making sure that your intervention, whatever that is, your business is going to attract the right people on the one side and benefit the right people on the other side of it.
And that is important, isn't it, to measure it. When you're taking the business forward, you need to be quite focused on what it is that you're looking to achieve and measure the success towards that, otherwise you can find yourself floundering along.
Absolutely. I think if you don't understand the change that you're trying to make and how you're going to change it, and so therefore you always ask yourself, well, how do I know if this is going to be success, or what does success look like? How do I know this has been successful? And it's those type of measures that will allow you to stay on track, but it will also allow you to communicate that to other people. And so if you're looking for a new partner and you need their buy-in, you can say, okay, well, these are the measures we have in place that recognise and measure the impact we're having, and actually this is, you know, what's coming out of this is valid.
I think the key to it as well is making sure that they've got sustainability in mind. So they need to generate income strategies along those lines, the social impact they're trying to create, so that they can continue with the good work that they'll do.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to celebrate success, you know, because when you've got a team of people that are working really hard towards something and you achieve, you know, that milestone, that target, whatever it is that you're wanting to achieve, I think it is important, certainly when people have put an awful lot of time and effort into, you know, take some time out to say, yeah, well done, we did this.
Yeah, and I think we can signpost the support on the site for where you can get support for business plan writing. And again, the value of it, you know, the much maligned, but also it's the value of knowing in a snapshot if what you're proposing will work or not. So if you're in that pre-startup stage, the business plan helps you determine not so much your plan going forward, but also whether or not this business is actually a business, or whether or not it won't sustain itself.
There's practicalities in terms of, as you say, actually the viability of the venture itself, but also it can really throw up ideas of who you need to work with and who you need to get involved and partners that would be useful. Because I think for social enterprise in particular, the route to market is not always the most obvious one, particularly for social enterprises. Business planning is really important about thinking about, you know, who are all the stakeholders in this business, who's got a sort of vested interest, and who are we trying to benefit, and who do we need on board in order to be able to achieve what we're trying to achieve.
Another aspect of the business plan is the financial side of it, and I know on the platform again there's going to be things like cash flow templates so that businesses can use that. How do you guys feel about doing sensitivity analysis as well?
Well, yeah, again, agree, an important thing to consider. You know, we've been looking at social enterprise in rural environments, and, you know, by comparison to urban environments, rural economies may not always have as a diverse set of economic circumstances, and that can make businesses in rural environments quite vulnerable to changes in the market or fluctuations, particularly if a local community is very much built around one sector or one type of employment. So I think understanding the impact of changes is very important.
So there's lots of different challenges I think that business can face, and I think the platform's going to be really good for helping to overcome that. If you were to give a business one piece of advice, what would your piece of advice be? What would yours be, Michael?
I think, and I would direct this at graduates who are thinking about starting up their venture, and I would say you can, you know, do all the planning and all the, you know, preparation work and the market research. I think you've got to be brave and put yourself out there. I think you've got to go to networking events, you've got to go to sessions and seminars, and you've got to get out of and into the world, because it's by having conversations and going to events that you pick up partners, you pick up customers, you pick up new stakeholders, people who are interested in what you're doing. And I think you've got to be brave and you've got to get out there, because ultimately, if you're the person who's setting up the venture, you're the one driving it, you're the best person to sell it.
Good advice. How about you, Andrew?
Well, in addition to that, it is about the individual. They're the person who's going to drive it forward, and usually the person who is the social entrepreneur who's envisaged what the support is required and what the idea will develop into. But it's also important to acknowledge they don't have to go it alone. And following on from what you said about networking, you know, there's lots of support agencies, as the platform points to. There's lots of previous people who have gone through the journey in different guises. And again, it's accessing those bases of knowledge and understanding that you're not on this journey on your own. You can actually access support across the breadth of the sector.
And I think when you go into these different networking events, I think you need to make sure that you go armed with your business cards so that you can give them out to people. It's really important to follow up on the contacts that you've made at these events. So plan it out before you go. You know, why are you going to the event? What is it that you're looking to achieve for your business, your social enterprise?
And that's especially true with people in rural environments, that you need that social media profile, you need a professional identity online that you can use to reach out beyond your geographical reach and access the networks that are out there and continue to engage with them.
Revisit your business plan.
Absolutely.
Regularly. Don't just do it for the purposes of getting an initial loan or grant. Keep it visible. Don't just put it in a drawer and forget about it. Have it on hand, revisit it, update it, work on it, because you did it for a reason, and the knowledge in there that's contained within the plan is all based on your research. You put time and effort into it, and it's valuable.
And that's part of the diversity, isn't it? When you've got these businesses that they've got the core business and they might have these extra elements, the power generation to give them extra income.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all part of community sustainability. So
Yes.
if you're in a rural community, how much can they do and take ownership of themselves, and could social enterprises fill that as a vehicle, fill that void?
I think one of the things that I've noticed across the different rural regions is it always comes back to something around critical mass. There's not enough critical mass of footfall of customers, critical mass of other business customers, critical mass of a market, and so you end up with. So and on the flip side of that, from a commercial company's point of view, they would look at, or may look at rural community and think this isn't commercially viable because there's not enough critical mass of customers, and so you get this community response to that.
Getting online and having businesses that have got a wider geographical reach than just the local community is a way of sidestepping some of the issues around footfall and hoping that tourism comes in.
But it also has a real benefit for communities, about communities working together to get the benefit of that community. And there's lots of information on the platform that you can dip into, and also be interested if you're somebody out there that's got experiences that you feel would also benefit others, then get in contact, because that's something that we might be able to expand. And this platform, we are looking at expanding the information. We do want it to be a benefit for quite a considerable time, and obviously utilise the funding that Unlimited's made available for this to take place.
Yeah, definitely. I think the platform has explored quite a lot of issues that have come out of rural social enterprise, but as you were saying before, the nature of rural economies and rural communities is changing and evolving, and I think there's always going to be new challenges and new stories that can be told from social enterprises that we can share through the platform. It's it's entirely expandable. The opportunities for do much more thematic content within the platform.
Mm-hmm.